Hey everyone, it's Paul from Alexandria Knife Sharpening and Laser Engraving. So I thought it was a good time that we do an update to the channel trailer just to fill everybody in on what's going on and kind of point some things out to everybody. And for those that are new, give you a little brief history about me and what it is that I do. So for starters, I'm just going to stop here and I want to point out to everybody some important links at the top of the page because I get a ton of repeat questions over and over and over again. A lot of them are related to where do I get this or that item. So I'm going to cut in here to show you these important links at the top of my channel. Okay, so here's what I wanted to show you. If you come to my channel's homepage on YouTube, at the very top, right under Alexandria Knife Sharpening and Laser Engraving, you'll see there's a little highlighted link and it says, and 6 more links. The highlighted link will bring you to a page on my website where I keep an ongoing list and links to the products that I use regularly, and it's pretty extensive. So let's click there and go there, and you can see here's the Toolker 1x30 sharpener. Here's other sharpeners I use like the Tormac and other ones I like and recommend that will work out well for you. Here's a twice as sharp scissor machine. And as you scroll down, you'll see there's just lots of stuff. Here's a whole section of sharpeners I recommend for beginners or people that only want to sharpen their own stuff. And as you just scroll down, here's all the polishing stuff. There's lots and lots of things in here. Here's diamond powder for making your own diamond sprays. There's a lot of stuff here. Okay, so that's one I wanted to point out to everybody. I want to show you the and 6 more links, so let's click that. All right, so the next one down, for those of you who think I'm too long-winded, some people will say that I talk a lot. I know I do. If you go to my Amazon channel, the great thing here is you'll see a lot of I'm just now starting to fill this out. So I was invited to get an Amazon channel, which is pretty cool. And I can have videos and things on here and I can show projects. I also keep a lot of the links here. And there are videos. The nice thing is these videos are limited to about 4 minutes. So you'd see if someone was interested in the Toolker 1x30 video, I have just a 4-minute summation about why I like it. So that's a cool spot worth checking out also. And then I just want to point a couple more links out to you here. Curry's Custom Cutlery, that's where I get all of my belts. Well, I can't say all. That's where I get most of my belts. But I buy most of my belts from Cliff Curry. Cliff's the man. He's got the best belts. I get Cubitron belts, Trizac belts, my conditioning belts, all from Cliff. He's in Hawaii, but he ships fast. He always sends priority mail. He's a great dude. I highly recommend buying belts from Cliff. And he has belts for, 1x30s. He's probably got the most extensive 1x30 collection of belts out there. And then he's also got 1x18 belts for you guys that are interested in Ken Onion Elite sharpeners. The next one down is a link to the Guild of Professional Sharpeners, which I talked about in the video, run by Matt Rowell. If you're interested in joining the Guild, we do give a free temporary membership for, I think it's about a week. You can come in and check it out. Woodturner's Wonders, that's where I buy all my CBN wheels. Combat Abrasives is another great place to get abrasives from. I mostly use Cliff, but there is a few things I will get from Combat. And there's also one, I don't have them up here, but Red Label Abrasives is another one that's worth looking into. The very last one is my actual website. That's mostly for my customers, but I have it up here if those of you that are interested in having a knife sharpening business or laser engraving business, you can see what's on my website here in Alexandria, and that will give you an idea of how I run my website. All right, so that's it. That is the few things I wanted to show you, and I hope that helps everybody out. Okay, so thanks for checking out those links. Be advised, those are affiliate links. So if you purchase through them, I do get a small portion. Affiliate links are super helpful to channels like mine, and it's a great way to show support for creators like me. and other creators out there too. I do the same thing for channels that I follow. If they post links or things that I want, I try and purchase through their affiliate links. It doesn't cost you any more at all. You pay the same exact price, but they do give a small commission to the channel, which helps us bring in more gear and things to review and to show you guys. So that's really helpful. So just wanted to also point that out. So let me give you a little bit of history about me. So how did I get involved in all this? Where did all this stuff come from? And how did I get where I am today? So I retired from police work in 2016. I moved to Alexandria, Virginia. And not long after getting here, I started a pet sitting service. And it was doing really well. And I also was interested in knife sharpening, and I had started doing knife sharpening on the side, but it wasn't a full-blown gig yet. It was just something I was interested in, and I was thinking of kind of turning a knife sharpening hobby and thing that I loved to do and enjoyed working on knives, possibly turning it into a business. But what happened was the pandemic hit in 2019, and my pet sitting business just came to a dead stop. Where I live, there's a lot of government workers, and basically they were all home with their pets. Nobody needed me. So after talking to my wife and telling her, like, I got to find something to do, I'm going crazy. She said, well, why don't you expand on, your knife stuff? Why don't you start a knife sharpening service? That's probably needed around here. So I started looking into it, and I went full ahead. I said, you know what? I'm going to start a knife sharpening service. So I started out, and I did my Google page listing, and I posted some things on Nextdoor, and very quickly I started picking up customers, and people started bringing me their knives to get sharpened. And before I knew it, I had a knife sharpening business. So one of the rough things for me in the beginning, I had started out with a Wicked Edge sharpener, which it's a fantastic sharpener, but I had so much business, I kind of quickly outgrew my Wicked Edge. And I've discussed this in other videos. Now, there's all kinds of ways to do it. That might be a perfect item for you. If you're super busy, for me, it was just, I had so much volume of knives coming in, it wasn't gonna cut it. The other thing I wanna touch on, which happens a lot, occasionally you'll see someone post or make a comment, or they'll even send me a message being like, you mean I gotta buy $10,000 in gear? Look at all the gear in your shop. You got so much gear. You don't have to buy $10,000 in gear, okay? And I've tried to stress this in many of my other videos, and I just want to stress it again. Just because you see a lot of gear in here doesn't mean you need to go out and spend $10,000 to start a knife sharpening business. Yes, I have a lot of gear. I bought it over time. It wasn't all purchased at once. I didn't go out and buy all these different machines. And quite honestly, I made some bad choices at times in the order that I purchased things. And that's one of the reasons I started my channel, was to help other sharpeners out, or guys getting into sharpening, to make really good choices as they start out, determining what kind of sharpening service they want to have. And there's mobile sharpeners. There's guys like me. Like, I'm very fortunate. My shop is in my house. I sharpen out of my garage. That's what this is. This is my garage. I have a drop-off service, so people come to me and they drop their knives off. But I did different things even in the beginning. I used to do a lot of restaurants, and I went and picked up the knives and delivered back to them. I don't do them anymore because I just don't need to. But that's how wide open the market is where I am here. You could just focus on sharpening for restaurants and be doing that full time. I don't even touch restaurant business really anymore. I got out of it because I didn't like having to drive in and pick up knives and wait for people to cut checks and that kind of stuff when I had so much business coming right to my house. So there's lots of ways to do it. There's lots of ways to approach it. So just keep that in mind. What I did over time, as I needed different things and as I wanted to offer different services, I added more gear. So that's why when you see my shop, yes, I have twice as sharp scissor machines, because I at one point decided I wanted to add scissors, and I actually have 2 of them. So I have not 1, but I have 3 Tormek machines. I know it sounds a bit excessive. Do you need 3 Tormek machines? You don't. I am fortunate that my business is is that successful. It's very successful. I have a lot of clientele. I added another Tormek machine the first time around because I didn't want to have to change wheels. I wanted to be able to do a two-step process and go from one machine to the other. But do you need to do that? No, you probably don't, unless you get to where you're as crazy busy as I am, and then you will get to a point where you might need more things. I'm also a big proponent of the Guild of Professional Sharpeners. I'm a member of the Guild of Professional Sharpeners. I'm a host there. I don't own it. It's owned by Matt Rowell, but I love what Matt does. And Matt has a really great training course for people that literally, if you don't know anything about sharpening and you want to start a sharpening business, Matt's course is great. I mean, he takes people from the ground up. He helps coach them. He helps work them through getting their first customer. And it's an awesome program. I love to help out there. I attend the monthly Zoom call meeting. I always try and attend that. And that's also a great way to have contact with me. I don't have the time to coach everybody like that. I am that busy. I have a big old pile of knives right behind me here. So you see all that? That's all stuff I have to get to today, all those cases. And today's Sunday, normally my day off, but that's how much stuff I had dropped off yesterday. So I have a lot of sharpening to do. But I do try and help out everybody as much as possible. So if you do want access to me, one way to get it is also through the Guild of Professional Sharpeners, because I do always try and attend the monthly meetings there. I've done videos specifically for them, and I'm a big proponent of the Guild. So consider joining the Guild, or at least checking them out. Second thing is, let's talk a little bit about the lasers. So yes, it's Alexandria knife sharpening and laser engraving. So let me tell you how I got into the laser part of it. So back in, it was around 2021. And that was about when I first came on YouTube. What happened one day is I had a customer come in and he said, "Hey, do you engrave knives?" And I said, "No, I don't, but I've been asked quite a few times." I said, "Why?" And he said, "I bought 150 knives for the executives in my business and I wanted to get them all personally engraved." And I was like, "Oh man, that would have been a nice payday." So I started at that time looking into laser engraving, and that was how I got my interest in it. But at the time, back in 2021, the options for metal engravers were quite expensive. You were basically needed a fiber laser, and they were about $7,000, $8,000 at the time, and that was way more money than I wanted to spend. And he was the only person at the time that had come in with a big order like that. So I had small requests over time, but I was like, wow, 150 knives, that would be pretty cool. I started keeping my eye on the laser thing, and I realized that there had been some breakthroughs in technology. Diode lasers were getting a lot stronger. And in around 2022, I think it was, LaserPecker announced that they were coming out with a dual laser, one that was an IR laser that could do metal, and one that was a 450 nanometer blue laser that could cut all kinds of other stuff, wood, engraving, and that kind of stuff. So it was a Kickstarter project. I've done a lot of crowdfunding before, and it's always a risk, but you can also sometimes save a lot of money. And so I decided I'm going to jump in. So I bought my first laser back then, and you can kind of see it in the corner back here, that little orange thing. That's the LaserPecker 4. And very quickly, I got it. I started playing with it. I figured out how to do it. I did some beautiful knife engravings, and then I started offering it, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. It's an easy upsell. I had many chefs when new chefs come in, I always ask them, "Hey, would you like your knives engraved?" Very easy upsell for that. I've had people who are buying gifts as EDC knives for people, getting them engraved. I've had memorial gifts of kind of things where sometimes you'll see someone come in and they have a nice set of knives, and then there's an old Chicago cutlery knife in there, or something maybe even older. And I usually ask, like, "Hey, what's this knife?" And many times people said, "Oh, that's my grandmother's or great-grandmother's knife." And I was like, "Oh, would you like to engrave it?" Boom, upsell. This year for Christmas, I did slate coasters. The other thing I wanted to get into is, because it kind of made sense with a knife sharpening shop, was what about custom cutting boards and things like that? So I started selling custom cutting boards, and it has just grown from there. And just like the knife stuff, and I'll just kind of add this in there so you kind of understand how you end up with multiple lasers. It's very similar to the knife sharpening industry as far as might be a really great tool for doing specific things. So how I said, like, yes, can I sharpen scissors on my Tormek machine? You can, but I don't like doing it. It's a pain to set up. I don't love the way it does them, but yeah, it can do it. And that's why I've talked before, like, I don't like to bash any particular sharpener machine because they're usually good at something, and some really excel at a particular thing. And it's the same thing with lasers. So with lasers, there's lots of kinds. There's CO2 lasers, there's fiber lasers, and diode lasers are like really exploding on the market and becoming stronger and stronger and being able to do more things. So one of my lasers that I now have is a cutting laser. It's really excels at cutting things. That's the X-Tool S1. But I also have a metal engraving module for that I can swap out, and you know, it's a big gantry style laser, and it can do really big metal engravings if it needs to. I recently got the Creality Falcon 2, which is a 22 watt laser, and the smaller the wattage, usually the more detailed the engraving can be. It does absolutely beautiful cutting board engravings and does them really fast. So that's been great. And my laser pecker, well, that thing's just awesome. It's super portable. I can take it places. I can do all kinds of things with it. It's a little restricted on its size. It can only engrave like so big, but it does have, you know, you can get a what they call like a pass-through kind of thing for it, where it can move material under it, so it can do little longer things. It has a tumbler thing. So, and that's how I got into the laser thing. I just, you know, one thing kind of led to another. One thing I'm working on this week is now I'm doing some wedding stuff. So someone came in with a wedding cake knife and server, and then they came back a week later and were like, hey, we got these nice bags to put them in because they're silver handled, and we want them to, these are supposed to keep them from tarnishing. They wanted me to engrave them and see if I could engrave the bag, and it worked out great. That's how the lasers comes about. So if you are thinking about lasers, it can very easily go the way of sharpening gear. Once you get one, you might decide, wow, I'd like to get another one. Or maybe I'd like to be able to cut acrylic or more acrylic or clear acrylic, or even do more advanced metal engraving. So yeah, would I like some more lasers? I'd love to own a fiber laser one day. I'd love to own a CO2 laser. All of mine are diodes, but for right now, I can do a lot of really cool things with them, and that's how that's come about. So that's why you see, and that's the story behind how Alexandria Knife Sharpening a year ago became Alexandria Knife Sharpening and Laser Engraving. They could also be two completely standalone businesses too, and that's the one very cool thing about laser engraving. I actually wish I could do more of that because I really enjoy it. But as you guys can see, I get a lot of work in, so I struggle to keep up with just the knives and squeeze the laser engraving in at the same time. But that's how it's all come about. So thank you for following the channel. I hope you guys are enjoying the content. I will just touch on this real quick too. I know if you go back, and sometimes people watch one of the older videos, I hope I've come a long way in improving sound and video quality. It's been a learning experience for me, the whole YouTube thing. You guys have been great. I mean, just the other week I talked about, you know, I mentioned a problem I was having and someone solved it and mailed the thing to me. Like, the followers are awesome. You know, yes, there's the occasional person who's going to come on my channel who you might find if you click on them, and you know, they've never done a YouTube video and all, and they leave a comment like, you're the dumbest person in the world, you don't know anything about sharpening. Okay, yeah, I don't know anything about sharpening. That's gonna happen. It's YouTube. Some people are just not very nice out there, or they just think that they know more than you or know more than everybody in the world. I go on with it. I occasionally get those comments. I ignore them for the most part, and we all keep moving straight ahead. We are approaching 7,500 followers. We just hit 5,000 like a week ago, and I did mention I want to do a knife giveaway. I'm still going to do it. I found out that I have to get permission from YouTube to do giveaways of stuff, and I have to make sure that they're okay with the knife thing, because you know how people get with that. So I'm still working on it. Once I can get through whatever that red tape is, we might be at 10,000 by that time, but I'm still going to give away the Moore knife and the engraving as long as I can work through any red tape, and I don't want to get the channel banned, and you know, I didn't know that you actually have to have permission from them to do giveaway stuff. I'm working on that, and once I get all that squared away, we will do that at some point. Super appreciative to all of you who have helped this channel grow, and now it's just growing rapidly. I mean, I'm just blown away with how fast the followers are starting to come, and I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I got to get to work because, as you saw, it's Sunday. It's usually my day off. I love being in the shop on Sunday, but unfortunately today, instead of getting to play around with different things, I got a bunch of knife sharpening to do. But I do have some cool projects that I'm going to do. A couple of them are laser ones. I'm going to do some bottle openers that have wood tops on them. I'm going to do a whole video on that. There's some interesting things here in the knife boxes that came in the other day. There's a whole gamut of things in there. So I'm probably going to pull some of those things out to film some stuff for some more upcoming videos. But thank you for everything. I appreciate you guys. You have all been awesome. Thanks for helping the channel grow, and please spread the word. And have a great day, everyone.